And it's such a maybe annoying answer, but to me, I say it's whatever looks good on you. We never did our purchasing based on an emailing. There's kind of no normal office hours anymore, right? And people are expecting answers almost in your grandfather's story going. It's like having a piece of him here with us. So for me, that's obviously very
I'm Kristina Budaeva, and this is my podcast, 101 with Kristina, where we talk about entrepreneurial journey, glorious win, painful failures, everything and anything to do with business life day to day. For this episode, I have a special guest in the studio. This woman has vibrant energy and personality. She embodies what the new generation's marketing looks like. She's a successor to a successful family-owned business has been around for over 35 years. This business helped Montrealers not only to see well, but also to look stylish. She's the reason why I receive so many compliments on my eyeglasses. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Laura Laoun from George Laoun Opticien. Welcome.
Thank you so much. And what a welcome. Wow. Thank you so much.
So, George Laoun Opticien has been a Montreal institution for over 35 years. Can you take me back at the beginning, how the business started? It's a family-owned business. And how did you grow up in that business?
So we actually just celebrated our 40-year anniversary in 2023, which
I'm sorry, I had a bad information.
No.
Like this is, on my research part.
Which is so exciting, such a big milestone. So George was my grandfather, and he grew up in a family of opticians. So he was from Egypt, and we had a family business there as well. And when he immigrated to Canada in 1969, his diploma wasn't recognized anymore. So he really started from the beginning with 3 young children at the time, and turned it into what it is today. And I grew up with it. And I don't think growing up I ever realized how extraordinary the whole story was. It was my norm. Now, at an older age and being so involved in the business, I have so much pride in everything that's been built. And to me, I feel really honored to continue to tell his story.
But how did you grow up in that business? How you end up in your family business? Because I'm sure you have other cousins. Why you? Tell me.
So I actually never intended to work in the family business. There was never any pressure from my mother's generation to get the newer generation involved. I think it was always important to our family that everyone kind of follows their own passions. And if it happens to be in the business, then that was a conversation to be had. But for me, I had actually started as a 6-month contract. And that was about 7.5 years ago.
Oh.
So I guess I'm here to stay at this point.
Yeah.
But I just fell in love with it. So initially, I was living in another city, and I knew I wanted to come back to Montreal. I wanted to be closer to my family. And at the time, my mom had kind of a gap in the marketing area and said, why don't you come help me kind of set up the marketing department, find someone for me to hire, and then in that meantime, you'll kind of settle back into Montreal and figure out what's next for you. So it kind of just happened, which I know is kind of an interesting answer, because I almost think, how did we not think of it before? How did I not want to do this my whole entire life? But at the same time, I think it's the experience I had in other industries, other companies, other experiences that kind of helps me bring value to the company too.
What industries were you in before?
So I worked at an advertising agency.
Okay.
A lot of our customers were in the beauty industry. And then after my MBA, I worked in the tattoo industry, which was, completely. I loved that job. I learned so much from it. And again, it's always artistic. That's what I kind of realized is the common thread in everything I've done. It's about creative expression. So even though the industries are completely different, they helped kind of give me building blocks and foundation to be able to do what I'm doing today.
So you are known for unique selections of frames in your store.
Yes.
Like your business known for that. How do you keep that uniqueness going? Like keep that style and level of excellence for years and years and years, like 4 decades.
4 decades.
What's the secret? How do you do that?
Well, my aunt, I can't take the credit for that. My aunt has been doing all our buying for 40 years since the company started. And the passion was always with finding things that were a bit different. And as the industry has evolved, there's one company that owns about 80% of the brands on the market. For us, our passion really lies in the independent designers, that extra little 20% of brands. That's what fuels us. As a family, we love the arts. We all express it in different ways and show it in different ways. And I think it was always important for us to have frames that tell a story as well, that are creative, that are artistic. And that's just always been important to us.
How do you find those artists? And like, at what point did you decide that this approach will carry you through, like being unique and authentic in your communication? When did you guys recognize that? Was it like recently, in the past 10 years, or in the past 20 years? When this collaboration with the artist came into your brand?
I think it was always woven into our brand, again, because it's something my aunt believes in. And as she was doing the buying. And then, of course, as, the industry changes, business changes, you have to kind of have a check-in. Hey, are we still all on the same page about this? Is this still the direction we want to go? And for us, it's an astounding, of course. If there's not passion or belief in what you're selling, then what are you doing? How do you find joy in it? For me, I don't want to market something I don't believe in, that I'm not excited about. So I think we're lucky that we're all on the same page about that. And it's not always the easiest route in a time where there's a lot of mass production and different challenges. But it's what fuels us. It's what drives us. And I know that's the kind of life we want to live, where we feel fulfilled in what we're doing.
So, as I look into the industry, your industry, it's changed so much over the decades. What is some of the biggest challenge do you guys face? Because your industry, like optical industry, is so unique, like compared to everybody. Like I know I come from transport, so logistical is very stable. People have been there for 30, 40 years. Besides, of course, technology, there's not major, but yours changed so much. What are the bigger challenges as the decades coming along, and how do you deal with that?
I think there's definitely a lot more competition. Obviously, online wasn't a thing when the company started. So that's a big challenge. Again, the company that owns 80% of the industry, obviously there's challenges, things we can't compete on in terms of economies of scale and things like that. And I think it's always just remaining authentic to who you are, being unapologetically yourself and your beliefs. And that's what gets you through the times that are not always the easiest times, right? If we kind of try to change who we were all the time, who our values are all the time, in order to keep up with changes in the industry, we dilute who we are and what really makes us special. And I hope we never lose that DNA.
Oh my God, yes. It's so true. I was like, oh my God. And comes to my next question. How do you guys deal with failures? I mean, there are difficult times come. We have recessions, COVID. You are retail business on top of it. Like your core is brick and mortar business, which is the toughest industry the toughest business. You have to be open day to day. And the challenges come. How do you deal with the difficult situations and failures? And maybe you have some personal method or mental strategies, you particularly. How do you deal with that?
Honestly, I guess I don't look at failure as a failure. I look at it as a learning experience. And sometimes you have to be given the space to fail, to know what works, to know what doesn't. Your customer is evolving, your industry is evolving. You have to try new things, and you have to know that they're not always going to work. To me, that's not a failure. Staying stagnant, that's when you fail.
Okay.
So for me, I try to learn from things that could have been done differently. And that's kind of my perspective on it. Um, so far, so good.
Yeah. Who are your mentors? Do you have any? It can be business, but it doesn't need to be a business. Like, is there a specific mentors that you look up to?
Well, I would say kind of in the earlier part of my life before I started working with the family business, there was a woman who I still know her. Actually, I spoke to her recently, and she was a very high up person in HR. Um, in a very well-known company, very respected company. And what I always loved about her was that she was so genuine, so nice to everybody. And I just looked at her as this extremely smart person who was still so human, who was still so kind. And no matter who was in the room, spoke to them in the same way. And when I first met her, I was young. I grew up with her. In my life, luckily. And I just remember she's the kind of woman I wanted to be. Her education path was not necessarily the most straightforward, straightforward kind of way. And she created her own path to success, all while being one of the kindest people I've ever met and wanting to help other people.
Do you want to mention her name so people could look her up?
Julia Cirillo.
Okay.
And she's an amazing woman. So, hi, Julie.
If she watches this. Wow. Can you imagine, like, she impacted your life so much, as a female figure?
She's an amazing woman. And now I would say working with my mom as my boss, she is my biggest inspiration, I would say, day to day. She steps up for everyone in her life, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's work, whether it's our team. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she still has so much energy. She's so kind. She's such an impressive woman. So I definitely look up to her in my day-to-day as well.
Wow, that's impressive. And thank you so much. A lot of like big businesses, especially like traditional businesses, struggle with innovation and the whole traditional way of doing thing. How do you manage to stay and keep your core values, also embracing new technologies and new trends for eyewear? Like, what's your formula?
I don't think we ever did anything so traditionally, to be honest with you. So before I did the marketing, my uncle was heavily involved in it. And he was someone that really marched to the beat of his own drum. He was bold. He was so authentically himself. He never tried to be anyone else. So that always came out in our marketing. And I think we just continue to kind of be who we are. I know I'll never be able to do what he did. I have to kind of find my own groove in the company. And I just love technology. I love keeping up with the new platforms and things like that. So it's kind of been organic, I would say, not necessarily something that was so strategically discussed. I think it's just my love of marketing, my love of the business too. You want to know what's going on. I'm sure, as you know as well, you stay up to date in all the new trends as well. And I think that's how we're always learning, is an openness to learning.
Cool. And what are the trends you're currently seeing in this particular industry? What's hot?
So when everyone asks, what is the trend? And it's such a maybe annoying answer, but to me, I say it's whatever looks good on you. We never did our purchasing based on trends. It's always beautiful pieces of art. If you look at my frames I'm wearing now, I've had them for maybe 5 or 6 years. I still get compliments for them because they were never on trend. They will never be a trend. So they remain this beautiful, almost sculpture on my face.
They are.
And I think that's so fun when you're investing in something like eyewear, to have something that you're still excited to pick out of your collection after years.
I think it's an extension of your personality. I'm so grateful because now, obviously, due to my age and poor eyesight, as I have no control over it, because people after 40, the eyesight drops. I'm so grateful that I get to add an additional accessory. Like, as you put, let's say, your perfume, which is a extension of your feminine, and then you put your jewelry And then I put my eyewear that I have a selection of eyeglasses that I wear, depends on my mood and the day. And I would like to build that collection on with my frames, they kind of extend my style.
Mhm.
And I always excited to come and see you and your shop, and of course your great sales assistants that could kind of extend my style. So you don't do the same thing over and over, and you just change the prescription once a year or every 2 years, because your eyesight dropped. But you kind of get those frames that could like stay with you over decades, and
It,
still be stylish, like
it's
an
interesting
accessory.
because what my aunt always compared it to is it's like shoes. You don't always want to wear high heels. You don't always want to wear sneakers.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need winter boots. And glasses is kind of the same thing. They kind of have different uses based on your mood. You touched on that. So, of course, it's a luxury to have a collection. I don't take that for granted, but I do think it is something you build over time. And when you go with something that you feel an emotional connection with rather than a trend, you're able to hold on for it longer and appreciate the beauty of it. So to me, the trend is be yourself.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Mm.
I think it's beautifully said. I cannot add more to that. Also, I wanted to ask you, let's say, what type of piece of advice would you give a young entrepreneur or someone who wants to start a business in optical industry? What would be your advice to somebody who wants to start in that
That's
industry?
such an interesting question because what's also interesting about what we do, as much as I talk a lot about like the fashion of the eyewear, and that's what gets me excited, it's also a medical device. And I think sometimes that gets forgotten. Um, so there's a lot of intricacies to it. I think you have to have a strong belief in the medical side of it and really providing the best care to your clients and providing them with, great lenses that help them see better, as well as the fashion side. So you kind of have to be ready to take on both. It's not just one
Or
or the
another?
other. They work together.
So you
Uh,
cannot just be strictly medically. You won't survive. I mean, the competition's so fierce, you know what I mean? It's just maybe a matter of convenience, but for the long-term customers, no.
and when it's just fashion and it's something you buy online without consulting a professional, it could be that it doesn't fit properly on your nose. You'll
Yes.
be uncomfortable. You don't have someone who's walking you through the process from a medical standpoint.
Yes, that's super important. Okay, cool. So keeping both, that would be great. I want to ask you, what's the most rewarding running George Laoun Opticien business for you? What's the rewarding part of working for this business?
I would say there's two answers. Obviously, the emotional side is keeping my grandfather's story going. It's like having a piece of him here with us. So for me, that's obviously very beautiful. But what I will say is it's our clients. Last week I happened to be on the floor for a couple of hours. And I had such a beautiful interaction with a client who has been a client of ours for over 30 years. And just hearing
Wow.
her say, that, she's known my whole family at this point. She had
Yes.
met my grandfather, she knew my uncle, and hearing that these people trust us throughout so much time, to me, that's rewarding. You have someone's confidence and loyalty. It's a beautiful thing. So to me, I would say our clients are my biggest measure of happiness and success in what we do. And of course, my grandfather.
And of course, the beautiful frames that you get to keep and try and take it home and meet all those artists,
Yeah, that is a
behind,
nice
learn those
perk too.
stories.
I will say that is really nice
Because
as well.
your eyeglasses are so beautiful. Every
Thank
single time
you.
I see you, they're like just every time. I'm actually excited to come to the store just to see the way you look because you always change your style. That style is like in DNA of your entire family,
Thank
from
you.
your aunt to your mother to you. Obviously, I never had a chance to meet your grandfather, but throughout your entire family, the style is it.
Thank
You know
you.
what I mean? So you're an icon of style for sure.
Oh
Just
my.
like just to come to see you at the store, that's definitely a treat for me.
Thank you.
Visually. And tell me, like for you personally, how does it success feels to you personally? I want to know, like, what does it look like? You want to elaborate on that?
I feel like I touched on it a bit in the last question, but to me, if our clients are happy and they're touched by what we're doing, on an emotional level, they connect with our frames. If our team is happy, to me, that's success. Those are kind of the metrics I use. If I'm happy, I feel very grateful that I don't look at Friday like, finally, I'm done. It's the weekend. Of course, I love my weekend and I love my time off, but I look forward to going to work 98% of the time. And I realize that's a privilege. To me, that's success. Being excited to do what I do every day is amazing.
Wow. I mean, I have shivers. This is beautiful answer. That's ultimate it, when you connect one-on-one your life. And which leads me to another question. How do you balance your business day to day and your personal life? Do you think there is a life-work balance? Does it exist for you?
I think it exists. I think I definitely have a blurry line with it. I think especially with things like social media and emailing, there's kind of no normal office hours anymore, right? And people are expecting answers almost in real time. So I always kind of want to keep up with that. And sometimes I struggle with creating a boundary, but at the same time, it brings me joy. So I don't feel burdened by it. But what I will say that really makes me feel grounded and have a sort of balance is early mornings. That's kind of like the life hack I've decided. When you wake up early and you start your day and do something for yourself, you have a couple of hours of your day where there are no notifications. You're not even looking at your phone expecting something from it because the world is still asleep. And it's kind of like a little gift to yourself to kind of start, your day just with yourself. So I feel like that's something that I really enjoy. And I've also recently become a big fan of do not disturb on my phone. So if I'm out for dinner or even if I'm watching a show, it's my way of kind of saying, I'm not looking at any notifications. I don't want to see my phone light up. I want to be really present with the person I'm with, or I want to be even present with myself in, the activity that I'm doing.
Gotcha. Can you walk me through your magical morning routine? What do you do? I'm like almost like I want to know what she does in the morning, And how early is early for you? Like what time do you wake up?
Okay, so it was a 5 a.m. thing.
Oh, okay, 5 a.m.
But
I'm
we
taking
moved from
notes.
there. Now it's a
Okay.
bit less. It's like more of like a 6 a.m.
Okay.
I have a good friend of mine and we go for walks maybe 2-3 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah. And if it's not with her, and of course it's so lovely when it's with her, we walk for about an hour and a half. We go get coffee. So that's always a great way to start my day. If not, I still do the same thing with my dog and put on a podcast and just kind of take that time for myself.
What podcast do you listen right now?
Honestly, it's more kind of light and fluffy podcasts. I find that's really my way to disconnect in all the media I consume. So whether it's TV, whether it's podcasts, I just want to kind of shut off my brain. So just things that are very light.
Like inspiring.
Yeah, and just, fun or funny and nothing too serious.
Do you have like a favorite author or a book that you really like? Even audiobook?
Honestly, that's something I want to consciously make an effort to spend more time doing. I've kind of stepped away from reading. It used to be something I did a lot. And I feel like I've kind of replaced that with, unfortunately, phone.
Okay. Do you have any specific genre of reading that you like?
I love murder mysteries. I don't know what that says about me, but I love them.
Okay.
So mystery, suspense, thriller kind of books are my
that was
favorite.
exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting. I love that so much. Okay, so cool. That's great. If you would like had a chance to roll back the time and meet yourself when you were like young girl, high school graduation, but you still have kept the wisdom of a woman, that beautiful woman you are now, what would you tell that yourself at 16 or 17-year-old when you were graduating and that ball? What would you say to that girl?
Be confident in yourself. Be maybe less concerned what others think. Stay authentic to yourself. That your integrity is the most important thing you have, and that it's all going to be okay. It all works out. It all worked out.
Yeah, it still is. Like we're
There's still
going.
lots to the story.
Still
It's
we're
not
going.
over yet.
Is there something you personally and professionally still wanted to achieve? What's your goals? Personally and professionally.
That's a very good question that I should have a known response to. Professionally, I think it would be, there's definitely a lot of growth I would still like to do within the company. Um, there's some things I can't really talk about yet, so I'm just trying to pick my words kind of carefully. But I definitely want to grow into my role, take a more important role within the company. I'd like to see the company grow to succeed. So it's always about growth.
Of course.
Professionally, and actually in saying that, it's the same personally, is growth.
Okay.
Whatever that looks like. Now you talk to me about reading. I'm gonna make a conscious effort to go buy a book today and do that. It's just we're always a work in progress. So it's hard. I don't feel like I have like a specific goal. I think I just want to keep being better, doing better, be happy, just simple.
Okay. Is there like a specific reason why you want to be better?
I think we all do. And maybe we don't always realize it because saying you want to be better is admitting that you're not perfect.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think sometimes that's hard and it takes a lot of, growth and working on yourself to
Yeah.
realize that we're always going to be a work in progress.
Yeah. And this whole leads me to like being with your perfect with your imperfections. You know what I mean? This is a whole big subject to look into it. But for me personally, when I set my personal goals, it is being more calm.
Oh, that's
I
a good
like
one.
that. Like being more calm and just appreciating being in a state of gratitude instead of being in a state like anxiety and stress. Like for me, that's my goal, being in a state of calm
That's
where you could appreciate things and feel. In business, as I go along, you tend to suppress some emotions because as a lot of stress comes to you over the time, you tend to shut down that whole feeling structure and you just go to cope with the day or the task or the tough time that you're going through. There are some good moments, but there's some also not so good moments. And uh, sometimes you lose touch with how you feel inside. And for me, being like calm, that means present, like here and now, and feeling myself, like what do I feel? Where do I feel? What am I not? So
that's
for me,
actually
that's my goal.
it's actually interesting because recently I was away for a couple weeks
Yes.
and I was so happy. We go away, we're so happy, everything's
Yes.
great. And then I came home and I had a moment of a bit of a low, like post-vacation kind of blues. And then I realized the importance of romanticizing your own life. Like, why is it that when I'm on vacation, I feel lighter? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we live in a beautiful city. It's a city
Yes.
that tons of people come to visit. And now I'm trying to be more conscious of that in my day-to-day. When I would go away, I would go to great restaurants by myself with a book. So see, there was some reading there
Yeah.
and I loved it. So why am I not doing that at home? So I've started kind of weaving in some of my behaviors of when I'm on vacation into my day-to-day life. And it's not about living for vacation. It's living for life. Like this is now, this is the moment.
Yeah.
Is to find those happy little moments in every single day. And you touched on it, being present and realizing it. Even more and more, I'm realizing like one day I'm going to look back on this time of my life and I'm going to say, those were the good old days. And how sad would it be if I didn't realize that as I'm living them?
Yeah. You don't appreciate it being in the moment. It's like, oh my God, I love it. I love being here. I love having that meal. I'm loving it. It's so true. It's so true. You touched right in that point. I actually last night, funny enough, I booked a hotel in Montreal.
Oh, I love that for
I
you.
know. Not only that, it's during the weekdays.
naughty.
Yeah. So you know what I mean? I'm staying in my own city in a loveliest hotel that I absolutely adore. Not gonna do advertising because it's not paid. And because I just like it's my staycation, like in the city, and I'm staying Monday to Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
And I'm literally going down at the hotel for the restaurant, gonna do some shopping, gonna come and see you. It's gonna be in your
Amazing.
area. Speaking of area, you guys have the best store location in the city of Montreal.
Thank you.
I like, how could it be any better than being part of the Fine Arts Museum? I love it. You could see the art start with your glasses, your frames, and it continues down to Fine Arts Museum. I think whoever picked that location was genius, and I don't know how you got that location. That must have been for grabs. How did you end up for that location? Can you tell me that story?
They approached us.
Oh, wow.
So
that's the highest level of mark.
We've always been very heavily implicated in the arts.
Okay.
We have an arts program that my sister runs.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and we were recognized by the Governor General. There was my grandfather and my uncle were given the Governor General Award. So we were always very known for our implication in the arts. That's where a lot of our money goes into, is helping theater and different channels of art. Then we were approached by the Museum of Fine Arts to have a store there when they were looking at opening something there. And of course, that's such a beautiful opportunity. It's an honor. So of course, it was an opportunity that we jumped on.
Yeah, it's just if you ever in Montreal, the store right there. And speaking of which, where can people find you, and where people could learn more about Georges Laoun Opticien, the story, location? Is there a special major events coming up? What is the plan for the next couple of months?
So, of course, there's our website. We don't have an online catalog. And I get asked a lot, why? Why can't I see your inventory online? And the question is, the answer is, that most of our frames we only have one of.
Okay.
It's not mass-produced collections. So a lot of them, once it's gone, it's gone. So it wouldn't make sense to take the picture, put it online, take it off. We don't do online selling. I kind of touched on it before. We really believe in
personal
a personal experience with professionals. So I would say Instagram or Facebook are really where we keep up to date on what's going on. But in terms of the history, our website, there's an amazing mini documentary on my grandfather on our website. So it really gives insight on who he was, but also his values are the same values of the company today. So it gives a little insight that way, but otherwise on social media.
Good. Yeah. Are you planning to extend from the marketing aspect of it, like that history? What innovative approach will be you taking to extend that from a marketing point of view? Besides, of course, the documentary being made, is there anything you planning to do?
I guess I focus less on like doing one big thing, and it's how do I weave it in everything that I do every day. To me, it's how do we get that message across in things we post and the events we do. And I think a lot of it is meeting people. That's the best way to tell the story. Because I could sit here and tell you, oh, my grandfather's an amazing man. Oh, our glasses are the best glasses. Shop with us. But I think the only way to really experience who we are and what we're about is experiencing it in store.
Yes. And just a little one-on-one, that events that she does, it's impossible to get in. There's no way links. It's only if you're a customer, you know about them. And even so, it doesn't guarantee. You have a great events. And the artists that you invite, they're just always trendy. They're like up and coming, or somebody very hot and happening in Montreal.
And I think it's always just, we work with people we like. That's the truth about everything. As you kind of touched on it, I am lucky that over the past almost 8 years, I've gotten the chance to meet a lot of the artists, the eyewear artists. I don't call them designers, or the designers, the creators. And they are all the kindest, most beautiful people. And you see their eyewear in a different way when you get the opportunity to learn a bit about who they are. I'm so proud to say that every designer we work with, every supplier we work with are kind, nice people, are artists as well. So I would say that's how we kind of pick who we work with. It's who do we want to have around us. And, it's all about people who are authentic, people who are kind. And that's, I think, what is the magic in events. We invite based on people we love.
Oh, that's so true. That's so true. And I like your whole every time I get to learn the story about it, I'm super, super excited about it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming up today for my episode. Do we have a gift?
Of course we have a gift.
I know you guys not online, but I know like for if you have a gift that you want to give out to, we're probably going to do, if you following us and watching us, please comment below. Tell us what you think about the episode. If you have some artists that you wanted to recommend, we would love to see that. And Laura will pick the best comment.
Ooh.
And what gift are we giving?
So we will be giving a $150 gift certificate.
Wow.
Yeah. So a little shopping experience. And I would like to offer it as kind of like a VIP service. I would love to meet with the person and kind of walk them through kind of a little personal shopping experience.
Yes.
And then we also have a limited edition tote to carry out your new frames.
Oh, that would be great. I'm almost jealous as well. I will also be offering, like always, some discount podcast with the word podcast on my personal website. We're going to leave some links below. We're definitely going to leave some links below to your website, of course. And also some links to the Instagram page, so people could come and visit and see some photos and get kind of hands-on experience. Is there any other platform you guys present beside Instagram?
We're also on Facebook.
Okay.
We dabble in TikTok.
Oh, TikTok. What do you do on TikTok?
I think we just have fun with it. And that's what's kind of interesting is it's kind of a platform that kind of everything goes.
Yeah.
Whereas Instagram feels a lot more curated. This is kind of the wild, wild west. So we just have fun with it. It's a little less strategic and it's just a little bit of play.
That's cool. So you do a little short videos.
We do little short videos. We do some some of the trending sounds. We put up some videos. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. I want to see that. I want to see that. You have a very good eye in terms of how you do marketing. So I definitely would like to watch that.
Pressure's on.
No, not at all. Anyhow, so we're going to post all the links below to all our listeners and people who's watching our podcast. Please subscribe to my channel, not to miss the next episode. You can also follow me and George Laoun. We're going to leave all the links, like I mentioned. All the links will be below. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And for making me see better and enhancing my styles. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.